How dare you collect my goods on credit? Do you think my shop is a charity home? Useless girl.
Please, forgive me. I was hungry.
Pregnant with a bastard, and you still want to steal from me?
Please, I will die. My baby will die. Please forgive me.
As if they could ever understand what it means to be me.
A hungry pregnant girl asked for food worth just 2,000 naira. The shop owner beat her with a pestle until she fell into a coma. But this wicked woman didn't know the shocking truth. The girl she almost killed was connected to her darkest secret, and her past was about to catch up with her. Come, let me tell you this shocking story that will leave you speechless. In the city of Benin, there lived a young pregnant girl named Fiona. Nobody really knew her story. Nobody asked. Nobody cared. People just saw her moving about with a heavy belly, always looking weak, always looking hungry. And they whispered behind her back. Some said she was cursed. Some said maybe she had run away from her people. Others said she was just a useless girl who carried a pregnancy without a husband. But the truth was different. Fiona was a girl who had once known love, family, and comfort. But life had turned against her in ways too cruel to describe with words. She lived alone now, in a tiny broken-down room with walls that leaked whenever rain fell. The zinc on top rattled in the wind, and sometimes she would wake up at night with fear that the roof would fall on her. With no family to stand by her and no husband to protect her, Fiona fought every day like a wounded lioness. Even though she carried a baby in her womb, she still worked at construction sites, carrying water for men much stronger than her, all for small cash. She would use the small change to buy gari or a handful of beans or rice, just to keep her body and soul together, breathing, living. But many days, hunger beat her mercilessly. Her neighbors would see her sitting by her door in the evening, her eyes sunken, her hands rubbing her belly, whispering to her unborn child, "My baby, don't worry. I know. I believe that one day we will be fine. One day this suffering will end." And even when she said those words, tears filled her eyes. Tears of unmerited pain and suffering she had never wished for but suddenly found herself in. But things had not always been like this. Long ago, Fiona was born into a wealthy family. Her father was a respected businessman, the kind of man whose name carried weight in the city. Her mother was a gentlewoman, Jean, always smiling, always caring for people around her. Their home was a mansion filled with laughter and joy. Fiona grew up knowing love. She attended the best schools. She wore fine clothes, and when she became a young woman, she found love in the arms of a young man who adored her, Desmond. They were planning marriage, and Fiona believed her future was bright. But one night, tragedy struck. Robbers stormed their home. Her father had already died mysteriously just a few months before, and now in the dark of night, gunshots echoed through the mansion. Fiona, who had been in the backyard, froze when she heard her mother scream. The sound of a pistol ended that cry. Her mother was brutally shot dead. Terrified, Fiona ran barefoot into the night. She rushed to the house of her fiancé, Desmond, hoping to find comfort. But to her shock, he too had been attacked and was shot. He laid in the pool of his own blood, and she thought he had been killed. Her world collapsed. That night, Fiona lost everything. Her father, her mother, her home, her fiancé. She was left alone in a world that suddenly became a jungle. She ran far away, to another city. Nobody knew her story there, and she didn't tell anyone. She just struggled to survive, hiding her past like a painful scar. On one particular day, her pregnancy pains were too heavy. Her body was weak. She could not go to the construction site. She had no money left, and her belly cried out for food. She sat in her room, holding her stomach. Tears rolled down her face. Hunger is a wicked thing. It can make even the strongest bow down. Finally, she stood up and staggered to a nearby shop owned by a woman named Madame Helen. Madame Helen was known in the area. She had a big mini supermarket filled with goods, and she carried herself like a queen. But her heart was as bitter as cola nuts. People feared her citada because she was wicked and proud. When Fiona reached the shop, she didn't see Madame Helen. Instead, she saw a little girl, about 12 years old, who stayed with Madame Helen and helped her around the shop. Fiona smiled weakly at the girl and said, "My dear, please, where is your auntie?" The girl replied, "Auntie Helen went out. She will soon be back." Fiona knelt down, and her eyes filled with tears. "Please help me. I am dying of hunger. I have nothing left at home," she begged. "Just give me small foodstuff, rice, gari, anything at all. I will pay when I get money. Please, my baby inside me is crying." The little girl knew Fiona. Sometimes Fiona would do her hair for free, just to help her. The girl's heart was touched. She was afraid because Madame Helen was a devil when it came to money. But seeing the tears in Fiona's eyes, she quietly packed food items worth just 2,000 naira and gave them to her. "Please, Sister Fiona, don't tell Auntie, and try to pay before she finds out," the little girl said. Fiona hugged her, blessed her, and left with joy in her heart. But wickedness always finds a way to show itself. When Madame Helen returned and counted her goods, she noticed something missing. After questioning the little girl, the truth came out. Like a wild animal, Madame Helen pounced on the poor girl. She beat her mercilessly until the child was screaming and bleeding. She even picked a pestle and broke the girl's head with it. Neighbors rushed in but could not stop her. She was like a demon possessed. And then Madame Helen stormed out, heading straight to Fiona's room. She found Fiona sitting with her food, about to cook. Without a word, she slapped Fiona so hard that the pot fell from her hand. "How dare you collect my goods on credit? Do you think my shop is a charity home? Useless girl. Pregnant with a bastard, and you still want to steal from me." Fiona tried to explain through tears, "Please forgive me. I was hungry. I only wanted small food so my baby could eat too. I will pay you when I can." But before she could finish, blows rained on her. Madame Helen beat her mercilessly, and then she raised the pestle, and before Fiona could shout, she hit Fiona right on the back and on her big stomach. Fiona screamed out in pain, holding her belly, but Madame Helen had no mercy. Then she spat on Fiona and turned. When she finally left, Fiona was lying motionless on the ground. Fiona lay there half dead and went into a coma instantly. The next place her body was found was in the hospital. At the hospital, doctors and nurses battled to save her. The stress and the beating had triggered early labor. Fiona screamed as pains of childbirth tore through her. Her tears were that of deep-felt pains. Hours later, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy. But she was unconscious. When she finally opened her eyes, she saw white lights above her. She turned her head and saw a nurse smiling. "You are safe now," the nurse said softly. "Your water had broken before you due date because of the trauma, but you gave birth to a beautiful boy. Both of you are alive." Tears rolled down Fiona's cheeks. She had no strength to even speak. Later, the doctor told her, "A man brought you here. He even paid all your bills, but when we asked for his name, he refused to give it. He only said we should do our best to save you." Fiona's mind was confused. A man? A stranger? Who was this man? Why did he care? And the most shocking part, why did he refuse to leave his name? And then another thought struck her. What about Madame Helen? Would she come again to finish what she started? Little did Fiona know, the stranger who saved her was not just anybody. His arrival was no accident. It was destiny. That night, the cry of the newborn baby echoed through the hospital ward, like a small flame of hope in the middle of deep darkness. Fiona's eyes never left the tiny child placed in her arms. His skin was soft, his breath warm. She wept silently, kissing his forehead, whispering through sobs, Thank you for living, my king." But as much as joy filled her heart, fear sat heavily beside it. How would she raise him? How would she even feed him when she could barely feed herself? It was only about going to collect small foodstuffs that landed her in the hospital. Those thoughts broke her even more, and she cried without control. Days passed slowly. Fiona regained some strength, though her body still bore bruises from Madame Helen's merciless beating. One morning, the nurse who had been attending to her sat down beside her bed. "My sister," she said softly, "I hope you don't mind me asking, but why was that woman so wicked to you? What really happened?" Fiona sighed deeply. Her voice trembled. "It was just hunger. I begged her girl for small food, only 2,000 naira worth, but Madam Helen, Treya, treated me like I was not even human. The nurse shook her head in pity. Some people fear God, others don't. But don't worry, the stranger who brought you here said something before he left. Fiona's eyes widened. What did he say? She asked, curious. He said he can't afford to lose you again. Fiona froze. Can't afford to lose me again, she stammered. Yes, the nurse replied. Those were his words. I asked him his name, but he only smiled and walked away. Fiona held her baby tighter, her heart raced. Who was this man? Why would he speak like that about her? Was he someone from her tragic past? The thought even confused her the more. For sure, she remembered that everyone she'd ever loved had died mysteriously and not alive. She became even confused. Meanwhile, news of the beating spread quickly around the neighborhood. People whispered that Madam Helen was wicked and heartless to treat a pregnant girl like that because of ordinary 2,000 naira. But Madam Helen walked around boldly, pretending as if nothing had happened. She even told some customers, "Don't mind that useless girl. She is a liar and a thief. If I don't teach her a lesson, she will continue to disgrace herself." Some people believed her. Others shook their heads and muttered, "Her day is coming." But nobody knew how close that day really was. Back in the hospital, Fiona's mind kept traveling to the past. She remembered her father, the successful businessman who was killed brutally. She remembered her mother, a gentle, loving woman who was also bloodily killed that night. And then she remembered him, the man she had loved, her fiancé. He was caring, hard-working, always making her laugh. Together, they had dreamed of marriage, of building a family. But that dream had ended in blood too. Those memories haunted her like ghosts. Sometimes she asked herself, why did I survive when they all died? It was still a mystery, but as she looked at her newborn son, she whispered, maybe I survived for you. But something started to happen. Days later, Madam Helen began to notice something strange. Men she didn't recognize had started appearing around her shop. They would buy one or two things, then watch her closely. At night, she felt eyes following her. Once, she thought she saw someone standing across the street, but when she blinked, they disappeared. Her heart began to race. Could it be? She muttered to herself. No, nobody can trace me here. That matter died years ago. She was clearly hiding a secret that was far more grave than what anyone in that city had ever heard or known. And deep inside, she knew she had built her wealth on lies, deceit, and even blood, and sometimes the past does not stay buried. Still, she brushed off her fears, telling herself, I am untouchable. Who can fight me in this city? But destiny always comes for the wicked. At the right time, in the evening of the next day, the doctor who treated Fiona came to check on her. You are healing, he said, but you must take things easy. That beating nearly killed you and your baby. Be careful with that woman next time. Fiona nodded weakly, but her mind was still not at rest. The doctor looked at her baby and smiled. This child is strong. He came too early, yet he is healthy. It means God has a plan for him. Those words touched Fiona's heart. She stroked her baby's cheek and whispered, God, if you really have a plan for us, please reveal it soon. But she was really scared. She thought if she returned home, Madam Helen could attack her again, and this time her little child's life was also at stake. Her mind raced at the thought. She began panicking. The doctor hesitated, then added, the man who brought you here, he seemed very serious. Almost like he knew you. Are you sure you don't know him? Fiona shook her head. No, I don't know, but deep in her heart, questions piled up, mysterious questions that had no answers. But this time was when the strangest and unexpected thing happened. As Fiona prepared to leave the hospital, police cars suddenly appeared in the area, sirens blaring. People ran out of their houses to see what was happening. Whispers spread quickly. They said they are looking for somebody. Could it be a thief? No, they say it's connected to fake money matters from years ago. Madam Helen's heart nearly stopped when she heard those words. She rushed into her shop, sweating, pacing back and forth. No, they can't know. Nobody saw me coming here. Nobody traced me. That was long ago. But her hands shook as she tried to count her money. Her legs felt weak. For the first time in years, she was truly afraid about the secret she had been hiding. Finally, Fiona was discharged. Holding her baby in her arms, she stepped out of the hospital gate. She had no money, no family, no good home fit for a child. But she had determination. She had no choice than to walk back to her tiny room, praying for strength. As she laid her baby down to sleep that night, she whispered, "My son, your name shall be Emmanuel, because God is with us. And no matter what happens, I will fight for you. I will not let life destroy you the way it destroyed me." Her tears fell silently as she lay beside him. But outside, in the shadows of the night, someone stood watching her window. The stranger. He was silent as if patient, and waiting for the right moment to reveal the biggest twist that no one had seen coming. Meanwhile, Madame Helen's life began to unravel slowly. Customers noticed she was restless. She shouted more than usual, cursed more than usual. Some began to avoid her shop. That same night, Fiona knelt beside her baby. She clasped her hands and prayed. Tears streamed down her face. "God, if you kept me alive, it must be for a reason. Show me the reason, show me who that stranger is, and please, protect me and my son." She kissed her baby's forehead and lay down. In her heart, she felt something strange, like a whisper saying, "The truth will be revealed. Everything that is happening is not coincidence. It is fate." She didn't understand it, but she held her child close and drifted into sleep. The days that followed were still filled with whispers, secrets, and movements in the shadows. Fiona tried to return to her simple life with her newborn son, Emmanuel. But things were no longer the same. The stranger who saved her had not truly disappeared. Though she didn't know it, his eyes were always watching. His steps were always close. He was waiting for the right time to reveal the secret that would shake everyone. And Madame Helen? Her once bold face was now haunted. She even locked her shop earlier than usual. She was restless because deep down she knew her past was chasing her, and soon it could come to plain light and could destroy her. Then one evening, as Fiona rocked her baby to sleep, there was a knock at her door. "Who is it?" she asked softly. But there was silence. Then, slowly, the door opened. A tall man stepped inside. His face was hidden partly by the shadows. Fiona's heart skipped a beat. Panic took over her. When the man noticed her fear, he finally told her, "Don't be scared. I am the one who took you to the hospital." Her eyes widened. "You?" "Yes," he said quietly. "I could not leave without making sure you and your child are safe." Fiona's lips trembled. Who are you and why? Why would a stranger care so much about me?" she asked, swallowing hard. The man stepped closer. His eyes softened as he looked at her and the baby. "My name is Joseph, and because you are not a stranger to me." Fiona frowned in confusion. "What do you mean?" she asked, even more confused. He sighed deeply. "Your father was my close friend. We were business partners. I knew you when you were small, and when I saw the mark on your arm that day..." He paused, shutting his eyes, and his face hardened. "The day I coincidentally walked into the scene that evil woman almost killed you. I knew it immediately. You are his daughter." Fiona, her mouth fell open. She stared at him as tears filled her eyes. "Evil woman? Madame Helen? And you knew my father?" she stammered. "Yes," the man replied, his voice heavy with emotion. "I searched for you after his death, but you vanished. Until destiny brought me to you again." Fiona broke down, sobbing. For years she had been alone, believing she had no one, and now a part of her past had returned, like a hand stretched out of the darkness. And Madame Helen? He had mentioned her name like there was something strange in the way he sounded, but that wasn't what made Fiona's heart race. The man sat down and told her what made her blood freeze in shock, a secret that she had never suspected. She had never even imagined it. He continued, "Your father was a good man, but not everyone liked him. Years ago, a woman cheated on him. She collected goods worth millions with fake printed money. When he confronted her, she turned deadly and murdered him in cold blood." Fiona's body went cold. Who was this woman? she stammered, leaning close and staring deep into the man's eyes now. The man's voice hardened. "Her name is—" "Madam Helen," Fiona gasped. Her eyes widened in horror. No, it can't be." Her heart raced. She didn't see that coming. "How could—" "Yes," the man nodded. "The same woman who nearly killed you for ordinary 2,000 naira foodstuff. She is the one who destroyed your family years ago. She murdered your father. She murdered your mother. And she even tried to kill your fiancé." Fiona's hands shook as she clutched her baby. "My God. All this while, she was the one." The man's eyes burned with anger. "I have been gathering evidence for years. I still keep the fake money with me. I have traced her crimes. And now she will pay." "Wait. So Madam Helen's hatred toward her was not a mere hatred?" "So it was. It was deliberate because she met her as a piece in her deadly secret puzzle unexpectedly. No wonder she wanted to end it too that very day with a pestle that she almost died, using the foodstuffs she collected as cover-up. That wicked act caused Fiona to go into early labor that almost took her life." At this moment, Fiona couldn't control her tears anymore. She burst out weeping even more now. Her tears flowed as she whispered, "But my fiancé, he died that night. I saw his blood. I lost him too." The man looked at her with strange eyes. "Are you sure? What if I told you? He survived." Fiona's breath caught. "What are you saying?" she whispered, confused. The door creaked. A man walked in slowly, his face weathered by memories, steps hesitant, but his eyes, the same eyes she had loved so deeply. Desmond, her fiancé, whom she thought died in a pool of blood. Desmond, she breathed. "Fiona," he whispered back. Her heart stopped. She staggered up, nearly dropping the baby. "No, it can't be. You're alive?" Tears streamed down his face as he nodded. "They shot me that night, but I survived. I went into hiding to trace the murderers. I've been searching for you, but couldn't come openly until I knew the truth. Now I know everything." Fiona cried out, rushing into his arms, sobbing. He kissed her forehead, their tears mixing. "All these years I thought I lost you. I suffered alone. Never again," he whispered. "I'm here. We have our son. We'll fight for justice." He looked at the baby, voice breaking. "My child, Daddy's here now." Fiona broke down completely, overwhelmed by years of suffering and the joy of his return. While joy filled Fiona's home, storm clouds gathered over Madam Helen. The next day, police surrounded her shop. She tried to run, but Mr. Joseph blocked her path. "No, Helen. Your time is up," he said coldly. She spat. "You think you can destroy me? I'm untouchable. Your crimes destroyed you." Joseph held up evidence, fake money from years ago. "This is what you used to cheat me and my friend before murdering him. You tried to kill his pregnant daughter, forcing early labor. I kept everything, searching for you. Now the law will finish what you started." Police moved in as Helen screamed like a wild animal. "You cannot take me. I built this with my blood." "No," Desmond said firmly. "You built it with blood that wasn't yours. Now you'll pay." Officers handcuffed and dragged her away. The neighborhood gathered, whispering. Some said, "Good for her." Others, "Wickedness finally found its punishment." At the station, more secrets emerged. Witnesses confessed. Evidence surfaced. Madam Helen had cheated Fiona's father, hired his killers, murdered Fiona's mother, and attempted to kill Desmond. She was accused of countless crimes against others over the years. The court sentenced her to life imprisonment. All properties were seized. Everything she'd built on lies was stripped away, and for the first time, Helen tasted the helplessness she'd forced on others. When Fiona heard the news, she wept, not from sorrow but release. Years of pain, confusion, and hunger were finally over. Truth had set her free. Mr. Joseph, her father's loyal friend, helped recover her father's business empire. "This belongs to you now. Your father would be proud." Fiona stood holding her son, her fiancé's hand in hers. She was no longer the helpless girl the world ignored. She was restored, made whole again. As weeks passed, people talked about the story throughout the city. But Fiona never boasted. She never forgot the hunger, pain, and suffering. Instead, she used her wealth to help widows, orphans, and the poor. even the little girl Helen had nearly killed. She became a light to others, the kind she'd once prayed for in darkness. Meanwhile, Helen rotted in prison for life. Her downfall wasn't just legal judgment, it was destiny's verdict. Fate had led her straight to Fiona's path, where she fell into Karma's trap as Joseph and Desmond had been searching to make her pay for all her sins. Destiny never forgets. Fiona was remembered, Helen was caught. Now your turn. Ever met a Madam Helen? Someone who crushed innocents thinking they're untouchable? Where are you watching from? Tell me your location and what happened to that person. Did Karma find them? The burning question. Did Helen deserve life imprisonment or too harsh? Defend your answer. Lagos to London, New York to Nairobi. I want your city and opinion. If this grabbed your heart, subscribe to Roots of the African Tales for more Karma stories. Comment now. Your location plus Madam Helen's story. I'm reading everyone.